Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first in a series of lessons on government and legal issues when it comes to businesses. So let's go ahead and get started. So first off, this is lesson 10.1. We're talking about taxes. And so the object of this lesson is to describe the processes of paying taxes as both an employer and an employee in order to understand the complexity of business tax compliance. So first off, let's talk about the big three: federal, state, and local taxes. Now, most businesses deal with these three sets of tax regulations. There is the federal government, which is like the United States government. There is state government, which obviously is state government. And then there is local or city government. Now, to give you kind of an idea, you can kind of see, yes, this is Australia. It is not the United States, but here's an idea. Federal government, state government, and then all your local governments. It kind of gives you an idea what the breakdown is of each of those. So paying your fair share when it comes to as an employee and an employer as far as income tax. Now, income tax is a federal or state tax levied on the earned income of individuals and on business profits. For employers, they need to pay income taxes on their business profits. Employees pay income taxes on their wages, and then that's normally deducted through payroll that is handled on the business side itself. Now, what about sales taxes? Now, sales tax is a tax paid by consumers when purchasing a product or a service. Now, for employers, they collect sales tax on certain goods and services, then they send it to the government. For employees, they pay sales tax as consumers when they are purchasing taxable items. Next is self-employment taxes. Self-employment tax is an amount paid by those working for themselves to cover contributions to federal entitlement programs. So employers, generally, if you are the sole owner or are in a partnership, you will pay a self-employment tax. Owners being paid a salary are generally not paying a self-employment tax. For employees, they generally do not pay self-employment taxes unless they are a gig worker, and we're going to talk more about gig workers shortly toward the end. But employees are currently responsible for paying self-employment taxes. Business owners and gig workers often pay self-employment tax to cover things like Social Security and Medicare. Now, employee benefits. These are services or perks provided by employers in addition to wages. Things like health insurance, paid time off, retirement plans. Now, employers, they pay for all or a portion of the employee insurance and offering other perks like paid vacation. These have to be accounted for in the business budget. Employees, wages are not the only thing to consider when you are looking at a potential job. You want to look at the benefits because they can go a long way in deciding it as a deciding factor for employment. Now, payroll deductions. Payroll deductions are a set amount taken from an employee's paycheck in order to cover things like taxes, entitlement program requirements such as Social Security, costs of employee benefits. Employers have the responsibility for payroll deductions. It lies with the employer, and you can kind of see some of the deductions that are here. And understanding how much needs to be withheld is very important. And employees, you need to be aware that how much you actually take home each paycheck is not necessarily reflected in your salary or your wage because you have these deductions like federal income tax, Social Security, state income tax, any other deductions. These are all things that are deductions that come out of your paycheck. So it's important to understand what's being deducted when you are managing your budget. All right, the tax maze and why experts can help. The taxes, they are not fun, but they are essential for funding public services, but they can also be confusing. So understanding and complying with tax regulations can be very complex, and that's why you need someone like a tax accountant. This is an accountant who prepares and files tax returns for businesses and individuals. They specialize in the laws, rules, and regulations for the computation of local, state, and federal taxes. Now, some resources so that you can be more tax savvy, things like the IRS website, the state tax boards, and professional accounting organizations. All right, let's talk about the gig economy and how that relates to taxes, things that you need to know. So some key points. Gig workers often owe additional taxes beyond federal, state, and local. These may include occupancy taxes, special business taxes, or platform-specific fees. They are also responsible for reporting and paying their own income taxes. This includes estimating and paying quarterly taxes through the year. Gig workers may need to collect and remit sales tax on certain goods and services. Some platforms handle this automatically, while others require workers to manage it themselves. Self-employment tax is a significant consideration for gig workers. This tax covers both the employer and the employee portions of Social Security and Medicare. Gig workers typically do not receive employer-sponsored benefits. They need to budget for and purchase their own health insurance, retirement plans, and any other necessary coverage. And gig workers are responsible for calculating and paying their own taxes. This often involves tracking your income and your expenses carefully and using tax software or consulting a tax professional for guidance. So that is our lesson 10.1 on taxes, where we describe the process of paying taxes as both an employer and an employee, including talking about gig workers. And this is in order to understand the complexity of business tax compliance.